This Indian brand is weaving style, sustainability, and Indian heritage into every thread of your lifestyle. Sirohi is promoting sustainability, embracing our beautiful Indian culture, and also empowering women at the same time. To understand more about how this journey began and what sets Sirohi apart from others in the sustainability space, we're in conversation with Gauri Malik, who's the founder of Sirohi. Thank you so much, Gauri, for taking our time and speaking to me today.
No, I'm so excited to do this. I don't lose out on any opportunity to talk about Sirohi, so let's do it.
Wonderful. Gauri, to begin with, what are the magic materials that Sirohi works with? Would you like to reveal the secret here?
Yeah, the magic kind of lies in the hands of the artisans, really.
Yeah.
So there are three aspects to our materials. We use as a sustainable brand, and from our understanding of sustainability, we use natural fibers. It's
Okay.
off the earth, from the earth, and back to the earth. So jute, water hyacinth, banana fiber, all the different sort of like ropes that are made from naturally sourced materials. So that's one. We use a lot of textile waste from manufacturing units.
Okay.
So this is essentially waste which is generated from export houses that's taken by people in local communities, villages,
Mm-hmm.
twined into ropes. That's what we use to weave our products. And the third material, which I think is kind of magical in some ways, is the waste plastic. So this is interestingly, they're flexi packaging units.
Okay.
These units manufacture wrappers for FMCG, for the FMCG sector, candy wrappers, shampoo bottles, soaps,
Right.
detergents, all the plastic packaging you see
Hmm.
around. But at the end of the process of the packaging, there's always like rolls left over, because if a brand discards their old packaging, what happens to the thousands of rolls
Yeah.
that are left? So
Yeah.
there are communities that takes these rolls of plastic MLP packaging, cuts them into thin strips, again twines it into ropes using the Gandhi and charkha,
Hmm.
and then that again rope is used to make furniture, seating, boxes at Sirohi. And because of the qualities of plastic, the awesomeness is that it's water resistant, it
Yeah.
is durable, long term usage, and all of those things.
I think that's amazing. When I was reading about Sirohi, I came across your motto, which says, "We're all about the boss stories, not the sob ones." It's very intriguing. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, for sure. Sirohi is a brand that represents lots of women,
Hmm.
starting with my mom. She's gainfully employed now
Hmm.
at the age of 60.
Okay.
And it took her, almost 25 to 30 years to get to a point where she could get a job or earn
Yeah.
some income.
Yeah.
And she broke barriers. And now, when we started Sirohi, it was with just one artisan. Today, we work with over 1,500, who are in our database. And because all the women were fairly scared to work. But there was this one courageous woman, Gohar Fatma, who we talk about a lot in our stories. And she decided that, I'm going to work behind the closed doors of my home, despite the religious, societal, communal norms that exist, which restricted the women from working. And that's where I felt like this woman is a boss.
Yeah.
And I realized that as we started doing more and more of what we do at Sirohi, more and more women started coming out, breaking barriers, and they were nothing short of gangsters.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that Sirohi is a brand that is about the boss stories and not the sob ones, because there are two approaches to life. And I think 10 years ago, a lot of not-for-profit organizations use that approach, the sob stories to communicate the impact,
Yes.
that
Yeah.
this is the problem, and we need your money because
Yeah.
of this problem.
Yeah.
Nobody thought of themselves as a solution. And at
Yeah.
Sirohi, what we do differently is that we are a solution. We decided to, because it takes two to tango. You have to get up and say that I will break the system and I will change things for myself,
Yeah.
and then use those opportunities to, change my life or change the way my life is. And I think that's what makes Sirohi a boss of a brand, and the women and the stories associated with
Yeah.
us.
Strong women at Sirohi are breaking barriers, and that's what the world needs right now. Can you share some specific eco-friendly practices or materials that you use in the production of your products?
Everything at Sirohi is handcrafted,
Okay.
from the frames that we use to weave our product to, on which the product, on the where the weaving is done,
Hmm.
to the weaving process itself. Even a lot of the ropes that we use are handmade.
Okay.
So I think it starts with the materials that we use, as in the ropes, the frames. And in terms of eco-friendly, sustainable practices, I think it goes beyond materials, right? It's
Yeah.
also about in a manufacturing facility, how much water do you use? We don't use any water to make our products. When it comes to lighting in our factory, we're now switching to solar. The entire factory is going to be powered by solar. We have a water harvesting unit at the factory as well. So
Okay.
these are, I think, some of the sustainable practices that are currently used at Sirohi to ensure that in the production of our products, each aspect adds and contributes to a more sustainable environment.
I mean, when we talk about a sustainable or an eco-friendly practice, it's not just the product that we're looking at, but all
Yes.
the processes that are involved. When I look at a product of Sirohi, there are some distinct features that I can really notice very clearly, and it speaks volumes about the Indian cultural heritage. And I want to understand, how does Sirohi draw inspiration from the Indian heritage, and how does it influence the design and ethos of your products?
When we started out, I'm not a designer, I'm an investment banker turned social entrepreneur. So
Okay.
everything has been very real with
Yeah.
what we've done. So when you talk about the design aspect and the fact that it represents the heritage,
Hmm.
we started by honestly just using the charpai style of weaving. We had artisans who work with us who could weave a charpai, it was a flat day bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I saw the weaving technique, I thought it was beautiful. And I said,
Yeah.
why don't we use this weaving technique and juxtapose it to make a box
Yeah.
or to make a lamp or,
Yeah.
to make different objects using the same style of weaving.
Hmm.
And the only thing that needed to be done was tell the artisans how do you weave that just weaving something flat, but weave it in the form of a box or a
Yeah.
basket or,
Yeah.
different products. And so that's why every product that we make, we always talk about three key aspects. Number one is that it should truly represent the Indian craft heritage,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it takes inspiration from the charpoy style of weaving. Number two, it should be a functional utilitarian product. So every product that we make, we want to make sure that there's a utility associated with
Yeah.
it. And number three, it should be for a global market, a conscious global market. Because I think, it's very unfortunate when you talk about Indian craft, you see, the top brands internationally, IKEA, Western, Pottery Barn, all of them, they're
Yeah.
sourcing from India and now setting up in India and selling back to us. So
Hmm.
I find it quite a kind of weird that why there is no Indian brand that is doing that. And I think when you talk about Sirohi and its distinctive features, the craft stands out, but even the fact that it's very international in the way it is.
What sets Sirohi apart from others in the sustainability space?
I think we're very true to our intentions as a brand, and we really enjoy every person at Sirohi who works and is part of our story is handpicked. Like I take multiple interviews to get each person because I truly want people to be passionate and love what we do here.
Yeah.
Obviously, despite the hustle and the madness that goes with being in a startup. And I think that truly reflects in what we do. So, what makes us stand out in this very crowded sustainability space is our story. We talk about our story in a very true fashion.
Yeah.
So when people are going to buy a product, of course they look at price, they look at design, but I think primarily people are always looking for rarity and exclusivity, like what
Yes.
is unique in
Yeah.
this brand that is not there in every other brand. And I think that's what Sirohi is able to do very successfully, is that we talk about our products with a lot of conviction,
Yeah.
because everybody's giving you a great price, everyone's giving you a discount, everyone's giving you a great design. But what Sirohi gives you is, the story and the fact that every product that you truly buy, trickles down the impact of it to the artisans. And the fact that we've been able to scale from one to hundreds to thousands in such a short period, I think truly showcases that we believe in creating impact than just selling our products. And I think that's why consumers come to us more. um,
Yeah.
I
I
think.
think I fell in love with the story first. And one of the most important things that really caught my attention is how Sirohi seems to place a very strong emphasis on empowering women and women artisans. What role do women play in the creation of your products, and how are you empowering them with the skills of today?
When it comes to creation of our products, it starts with them,
Yeah.
because it's their skill.
Yeah.
and they're the true owners, when it comes to the design, the process, the quality, and it's holistically the women who do it. So I think that's one. But I think more than that, when it comes to the skill, is the passion.
Yeah.
These are women from extreme minority conservative communities who have never worked in their lives. They have never seen a life beyond household chores. So suddenly to be able to get money in their own bank
Yeah.
account, not of their husbands, not of their brothers or their fathers, there is a very strong sense of empowerment to go buy that own phone. One of our artisans has bought land, a plot of land. Can you imagine,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
like to build a
Yeah.
house? They bought rickshaws to take raw materials and drop them to our factories. So I think more than just the skill, the fact that they are so empowered now
Yeah.
and they have a voice in the community, I think that's where the role of the women come in when it comes to creation of our
Absolutely.
products, and that trickles in the story, and so the product is very bold and empowered and has a story to tell, as we say.
I'd like to understand what are the challenges or opportunities that you've encountered in the journey of building a sustainability brand?
Oh God.
I'm
I
sure there
think
are many.
the challenges are real.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's just about building a sustainable brand. I
Yeah.
think the challenges that come with being a founder,
Oh, yes.
having a startup in a very crowded space, being a woman entrepreneur,
Absolutely.
working at the ground level. I think there are different facets to the challenge. And I honestly, like, I just feel like, I'm just standing there with one cricket bat and like, marring one chokka and chakka like every every few hours.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I get run out. So I feel like there's a challenge, and you have to be a problem solver when you're a leader or when have a startup of your own. So, but I think some of the primary challenges that we constantly face are, because if I talk about the bottom up, challenges, from ground up, it's sometimes, getting the women to understand that, or the order needs to be met in time,
Yeah.
quality checks associated with it. I think we've gone past those problems. It took us years, honestly, to get to a place where they understood that, if a customer wanted a certain design, that's what you got to make. You can't make something else ki chalo maine bana diya, like ye bech do types.
Yeah.
So I think it started with something as simple as that. Now, as we're scaling, we're trying to understand supply chain issues, because at the end of it, these are handcrafted products. I think for us, when it comes to scaling an artisan business, the biggest challenge is meeting timelines, working capital, making the consumer sometimes understand that, hey, I know you love our products, which I'm truly grateful about, but it is impossible for us to make 10,000 pieces in like 20 days or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
30 days, because we work with a limited number of artisans. So while there is one order that will come for 10,000 pieces and we have to say no to it, which is very sad, we're also like, we want to increase our supply chain and we want to get more women on board. But then, like, the months that there are no large scale B2B orders, because this is very seasonal, how do you keep those women
Yeah.
engaged?
Yeah.
Right. So you have to sort of think of it very strategically, and it's not a factory, where you can just stop production, because at the end of it,
Absolutely.
there's human lives, and these are people who are looking for sustainable livelihoods. So you
Yeah.
want to make sure that there's consistency in the demand of your product, and also the other way around, that your supply chain is not very seasonal. But otherwise, it's just the startup hustle that you got to deal with on a daily basis, and the fact that being an entrepreneur who's a woman with kids has its own challenges, but it is what it is.
Gauri, for our viewers who are interested in embracing a more planet friendly or a sustainable lifestyle, what advice do you have for them? And how can consumers and media outlets best support your mission of achieving an environmentally conscious lifestyle?
I think when it comes to sustainability, it's such a relative term, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has, is sustainable in different ways,
Absolutely.
or, uh, and some people have a zero waste lifestyle. Some people are just conscious about plastic use. So I think it varies, and it totally depends on the stage. And I never recommend that you should follow a certain kind of a lifestyle, but I think we should all be very conscious of the fact that, and I read this in a poem somewhere, that we're guests of the earth, not its masters.
Yeah.
So let's behave like a guest, and treat, the planet the way we found it. And to do that, we need to be conscious of our consumption. And when you're conscious of your consumption, you need to think about wastage, you need to think about the plastic use, water use, and simple things like that. And I won't say I follow a zero waste lifestyle, or I count my carbon footprint, not at all. But yes, I am conscious of the fact that I was born on the earth, and I'm a guest to this beautiful place that we were born in, and I do my bit, um, in a very true and real way.
I think there's just too many words and lingos around that sort of become
Yeah,
overwhelming for
yeah.
people to understand. But as you said, everybody has a different journey, everybody has a different understanding of sustainability. I had a great time talking to you today, Gauri. I think this was a fun conversation. And Sirohi is doing something really amazing. And I can see how there are so many fans of Sirohi and its products. I'm one of them. And I think it was brilliant to know more about the brand, to know about your journey, and I wish you all the very best. The kind of impact that you're creating, not just with your products, but even at your workspace, providing a livelihood to women, empowering them is just amazing. And I hope that Sirohi just grows and grows from here and you have more happy customers across the country. Thank you so much for speaking to me.
No, thank you. Thank you so much, Navya. And I, of course, wish you all the best
Thank
in
you.
your entrepreneurial journey, and hope you get to talk to more and more founders, because I think you're so fortunate that, you're able to use these stories, inspire yourself. And, you asked me this question, that how can media professionals,
Yeah,
I think,
help you.
contribute to
Yeah,
our journey, is I think, help us talk about what we're doing. And let's
absolutely.
take the narrative global, let's take these stories to like global consumers. And it's not just about selling a product, I think it's about inspiring millions, right? And that's what media and journalism is about. Like, how do like women, from the most lowest of income communities or minority groups, how can they break barriers? So if people from our communities could do it, I'm sure, somebody sitting in some remote corner in some far-flung state, they get inspired by the story, and it's up to the media professionals to take those stories to them. Thank you, Navya, for your time, and hopefully you will see us in a few years as we become the IKEA for sustainability.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.